Hello and welcome to today's video. Today, I've got my apple cider vinegar with me here, and I want to talk to you about why this really gross little blob of stuff that's floating around in the bottom is actually amazing for your gut health. I'm also going to give you another couple of apple cider vinegar tips and tricks. So let's start with this little kind of furry alien at the bottom of my apple cider vinegar. So you might see this and think, is something wrong with my vinegar? Is this contaminated? Should I throw this away? In fact, this is actually the sign of a really good quality apple cider vinegar. So this is what people call the mother. You've probably heard of apple cider vinegar with the mother before. That's what that alien-like thing in the bottom of the bottle is. That's the mother. So in essence, what this tells us is this vinegar that you have is teeming, it is full of different probiotic microbes. And these are the microbes that literally make this into vinegar in the first place. So if you think about how we make apple cider vinegar, first of all, we take like a bunch of apples and we kind of smash them up and basically turn them into cider. So we leave them to ferment, and a lot of those sugars break down into alcohol. And if you stop the fermentation there, you're basically going to be left with apple cider. And that's basically what cider is. But if you let it keep fermenting, if you just leave it, different microbes will come to start breaking more of these sugars and even some of the alcohol down and turn it into vinegar instead. And this is what causes it to develop this very sharp, acidic taste and flavor. Is all of these sugars and things that were originally making it sweet and alcoholic are being degraded and turned into acid compounds. So one of the keys of what makes something a vinegar is they tend to be very high in acetic acid, which is a type of acid that's produced in this fermentation process. But there's actually some really interesting benefits to acetic acid that you probably haven't heard of, and I want to share them with you. For this tip or trick, this is actually true of all vinegars, believe it or not just apple cider vinegar, even the vinegar that you get, at the chip shop, the fish and chip shop, the little thing you'd put on top, whether this is a grape-based vinegar or a distilled vinegar, a white wine vinegar, whatever it is, all of vinegars have this compound, this acetic acid. And the reason acetic acid is really cool is it actually provides a different mechanism for your cells to uptake glucose. So the reason that this is important and that this can have benefits for your brain health, for your ability to think clearly, for your ability to have energy throughout the day, and can actually significantly boost longevity as well as having some gut health benefits, is that after we eat a lot of carbohydrates, we will have a blood sugar spike. This is completely normal. This is normal physiology. However, we want to try to avoid having many repeated significant blood sugar spikes throughout the day. This is because it kind of puts us into a oxidizing state, which can be a bit pro-inflammatory, and it's also quite taxing and tiring on the organs as well because they're having to work very hard to manage and regulate the blood sugar. So the reason that vinegar is so helpful with this is the acetic acid, this compound that I just mentioned, provides a different method for glucose uptake into the cell. So instead of the body having to work really hard and to get the pancreas to produce insulin and that to kind of knock on the cells and say, hey guys, we've got some glucose outside, come and let it in. And then they kind of pull all of the glucose into the cell so you can have energy and your brain works and you feel good. Instead of that, when we have acetic acid, it basically kind of opens the back door. And it means that all of this glucose can kind of funnel into the cell without insulin having to do anything. So there's some different numbers in different studies depending on where you look, but just giving you a kind of safe estimate, we're looking at a 10 to 20% reduction in the maximum peak of a glucose spike after eating a meal, which is huge because it's really that top part of the spike of the blood sugar levels that we're really trying to avoid. So if we can do this, this doesn't require any effort. This doesn't require taking a walk. This doesn't require even changing the foods that you're eating or the way that you're eating them. This is simply having some vinegar with the meal whenever you eat it. And a lot of meals have vinegar in basically by default. So the fish and chips example that I gave you, a lot of people have vinegar on their chips. It reduces the blood sugar spike. If you have a salad with a vinaigrette and some olive oil, there is some vinegar in this. If you have this before any meal, if you have this before pizza, if you have this before pasta, if you have this before anything, it's going to significantly reduce your blood sugar spike. And considering that this is a staple ingredient that if you cook at home, if you watch my channel, you care about gut health, you're trying to be a healthy person, probably you do cook at home, maybe not all of the time, but some of the time, you probably got some vinegar in your cupboard already. Any vinegar will be good for this. They all have acetic acid. But now let's come back to this little alien thing that's floating around in the bottom of my apple cider vinegar. Where's he gone? Let me see if I can find him. Oh, look, you see him there? That weird little kind of alien jellyfish. Ooh, look at him. Look at him swirl. It's kind of mesmerizing and also a bit disgusting as well. But yeah, I guess that's what it is. So this is a colony of microbes. So the reason that this is included is this is kind of an indicator that the vinegar that you have is unpasteurized. So this acetic acid that I was talking about is in all vinegars. So whether they're pasteurized, whether they're unpasteurized, whether it's from apple cider, whether it's from grapes, whether it's from anything, they all have this acetic acid compound. But this little alien thing in the bottom, this mother, is an indicator that this is unpasteurized. And this is where a lot of the gut health benefits come from. Not all of them. There are some more that I'm going to talk about. But in the case of this little alien thing, this mother at the bottom of my apple cider vinegar, this is a colony of microbes. So this is included in any vinegar that isn't pasteurized. So if you buy an apple cider vinegar and you don't have this little alien thing in the bottom, probably read on the packet somewhere and it will say that it's pasteurized. And there are still lots of benefits to this, but you're not going to get this gut health benefit that I'm going to talk about. So in essence, when we have this little alien, we have probiotics. This becomes a probiotic food. And the thing about probiotics is, if you go back like 100, 150 years before refrigeration existed, almost every single human on Earth was consuming fermented foods almost every single day. Not because they taste good, not because they wanted to, but because they had to, because it was a required part of survival. Preserving food has always been a challenge, and making it so that the food that we have from the spring and the summer and on the way to autumn is able to last us through the winter. We would be fermenting things, we would do lactofermentation, we would take all of the apple harvest that we had at the end of autumn. You can't eat all of those apples. So some of them you turn into cider, and then you enjoy that. Some of them you'll cook and you'll process, and you'll jar them and you'll can them. But a lot of it will get turned into different types of fermented foods. And apple cider vinegar is a really good example. So this is the best way, in my opinion, to get probiotics in the diet. It's actually not to use probiotic supplements, which might surprise you because I have like 50 videos talking about different probiotic supplements. There are use cases for probiotic supplements, but really what we want to try to do is return to how we used to do things, return to nature, because nature's got all of the best answers already. But now we live in the modern world. We don't need to eat fermented foods. It's not required because we have refrigeration. We can freeze things. We've got freeze drying. We have lots of different methods of packaging and processing foods so that they last for a long time. So we don't rely on fermentation as much. There's a really funny kind of story that in England, if you go back even like 100, 200 years ago, most kids would basically be drinking beer throughout the day because the water supply wasn't very safe. And it was safer to drink a very low, like 0.5% alcohol beer, because the beneficial microbes in the beer would make it safe. They would kill these dysbiotic bacteria, these pathogen-causing bacteria, and would put a lot of these beneficial microbes. So basically, kids, even like in schools or like they'd go out with their family or when they were working or whatever they were doing, they'd be drinking beer, not water, because it was actually safer, believe it or not. So we can take a little bit of that wisdom. I'm not saying that you should go and feed your kids beer. What we can do is have a little bit of apple cider vinegar, make sure it's unpasteurized, and it's got this little squiggly thing in the bottom. Usually, this is like a selling point. So they will, on the front, so this is in Portuguese, so obviously you probably can't read this, but usually it will say like with the mother on the front, usually. This one actually doesn't, but you can see it's in there. So there are some other benefits that we can get for our gut health with apple cider vinegar. We've obviously already looked at the probiotic benefit, but there are two main other benefits that we can look at. The first is that because it's vinegar and is a very acidic substance, this can actually really help with boosting stomach acid levels. Now, I'm going to keep things simple. I don't want to get too technical about it. The best way to think about your stomach acid is to think about like a dragon with dragon's breath. If you think about what dragon's breath kind of is, it's like a metaphor of what stomach acid is. It's like this roaring, powerful compound that comes out from the stomach. So think about your acid in your stomach like a dragon's breath. And imagine you're a dragon and you got a sore throat, or you're not producing that much fire or flame anymore. You're not going to be a very good dragon, right? If you can't breathe fire, then you're not really a dragon anymore. The same is true here with stomach acid. Your digestive system really works with the acid level. So this is like your fire. This is like, think about your digestive system like this dragon. It loses its ability to breathe fire, which means it doesn't work very well. This is like its primary protective mechanism. It's an essential part. Like dragons can't eat their food if they don't burn it first. They basically cook their food by blasting it with dragon fire and then they eat it. The exact same thing is true for you. If you don't have strong enough acid inside of your stomach, you cannot digest the food that you eat. So this is literally like dragon fire in a bottle. It's a very concentrated acid. Usually the pH is about pH 3, which is actually still kind of weak when it comes to how strong your stomach acid actually is. But not only can it provide some acid compounds if your dragon fire is a little bit low, but it is also a digestive stimulant. So these acid and bitter compounds in foods also stimulate the body to produce more of its own kind of dragon fire, to turn the production of our stomach acid back on. So this can be really helpful because not only are you going to digest your food better, but you're also going to have one of your primary protective mechanisms that stops you from getting food poisoning, stops you from getting SIBO and dysbiosis in the upper digestive system. Acid is also really important for digesting minerals. Minerals are alkaline substances, and we can't absorb them unless we have a strong enough acid. We need to bind an acid to the alkaline compound to be able to absorb it. So if your stomach acid levels are too low, you can't absorb calcium, you can't absorb magnesium, you can't absorb zinc. You can't even absorb B12, which isn't a mineral, but it's very dependent on the acid levels in the stomach. So this is a huge gut health hack. Getting your acid levels strong enough is such a powerful thing because not only does it do all of the things that I've just described, but it's also like the green light that turns on every other digestive function that follows from here. So you've probably heard about the bile that we secrete and the digestive enzymes and all of the effects that our gut microbiome has on digestion. All of these things are kind of like flashed a big green light to turn on if the acid level in the stomach gets strong enough. So this not only helps here, but it also helps every single other function that can happen downstream from here as well. This is actually so fascinating to look at. I was just looking at it, just swirling around inside. Let me see if I can get you a good angle. It's like hypnotizing. It's like a lava lamp. I'm just watching this like alien thing floating around. It's so crazy. So the final benefit that I want to talk about is how this can actually help the liver and help with bile flow. So first of all, there's one other type of acid in here. So we've got the acetic acid that I talked about. This is in all vinegars, but in apple cider vinegar specifically, we have something called malic acid. This is an acid that's actually quite hard to find in foods. Apples tend to be one of the only places that we can get this. And if you've ever done a liver or gallbladder flush before, you've probably heard about the importance of malic acid because it's really powerful at helping to break down liver and gallbladder stones. So just simply having some apple cider vinegar, and I'm not saying you have to like be drinking bottles and bottles of that, just having a little bit to season your food to make things taste nice, provide your body with malic acid, which is going to help to break down liver and bile stones, which is amazing in itself. If you're going to improve bile flow, it's going to help digestion directly. Bile is one of the most important protective mechanisms that we have to clean the small intestine. So it protects us from SIBO and SIFO and these types of dysbiosis in the upper GI tract. But bile is also really important for digesting fats. So you can kind of see that apple cider vinegar is covering so many different bases. It's helping your blood sugar levels. It's helping your stomach acid levels. It's stimulating the whole digestive process. It's helping to break down gallstones and make your bile flow improve, which is going to improve your fat digestion. So now I want to talk about how can we actually use it, because you might be thinking, if you've read things online, you might be thinking you have to do like a tablespoon as a shot first thing in the morning or it's not going to work. Or you might think you can't dilute it with water, or you might have all of these different rules that you've stumbled upon and now you're not exactly sure what to do and how the best way to do it is. So I would say, honestly, don't overthink it. As long as it's going in your body, it's working. There are benefits to doing it by itself. There are benefits to doing it with a meal. I would say, generally speaking, the best benefits that you're likely to get are going to be from using this as a part of a meal. So if you want to add this as a vinaigrette to a salad, if you want to put a little bit of this in your soups, it is actually amazing. There's two core things that influence the flavor of a dish is the salinity, so how well seasoned it is with salt, and the acidity, so what the pH level is. You can almost always make anything taste a little bit better just by putting a little bit of vinegar in it or a little bit of lemon juice. Lemon juice doesn't have these benefits though. This is why we're really focused on apple cider vinegar today. So whatever it is, just get a little bit of apple cider vinegar in the meal. I know some people that really like taking a bit of sparkling water and dissolving the apple cider vinegar in the sparkling water. And it has almost like a bit of kind of like a sparkling wine kind of feel to it. But it's also a really powerful digestive stimulant, boosting your stomach acid. There's benefits to that. But I'd say overall, general rule of thumb, just don't overthink it. Don't get super stressed about it. Obviously, if you're going to get stressed, you're going to reduce your stomach acid production. You're going to reduce your bile flow. You're going to basically compromise the whole digestive function. So don't worry about it. Just figure out how you can get a little bit of this in every here and there. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to be super perfect with it. Just add a little bit to your salads, a little bit to your sauces. My wife made some mayonnaise the other day. She used a little bit of apple cider vinegar in there. That was absolutely amazing. So just get it in, just sprinkle it in, put it on everything. And it's not even something you have to do every single day to get benefits. Even if you do it 3 or 4 times a week, you're still going to see a really, really big improvement from that. So let me know if you think apple cider vinegar is going to be something that you incorporate, and what benefits are you looking for? Are you focused more on the blood sugar side of things? Are you looking more at the stomach acid part? Are you looking for the probiotic benefits? What is it that you're hoping to get out of using apple cider vinegar? Let me know. And if you have any good recipes that incorporate vinegar, also leave me a comment below. You don't have to list out the full recipe, just give me a little bit of inspiration, because I'm always trying to find another way to incorporate a little bit of extra healthy food in my diet. So that's everything from me today. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions, leave them below. Take care, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.